All right, so we're live with Doug Erlich today. This is In the Hook with Herman and Gobby. We're bringing Doug back on to sort of discuss WAL 501, what happened, and next steps and that sort of stuff. So, Doug, you want to get us started off?
Yeah, do I have a good angle? I'm trying to make sure I don't look old like that guy said last time. I don't want to, I can't have myself looking old and out of nutritional shape.
Was that really Michael Nance that said you looked old?
It was,
Yeah.
yeah, it was nice. Yeah.
So are you taking nutritional advice from a guy who was the oldest on the show or something? And I don't know.
Yeah, he's kind of he's an old troll. So I mean, you got to take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah. I mean, I wore yellow to kind of like make myself look a little slimmer since I put on a bunch of weight back on. But anyway, yeah, the match with Tony, I'm not taking anything away from Tony. He beat me. It's I guess like a combat type sport, where if you're in a fight in UFC and you get a cut in your eye and you're bleeding all through your eyes and whatnot, and you lose. I mean, I've heard a lot of people have tried to come to my defense and say, oh, if he wouldn't have hurt his arm, it would have been a war. It would have been, look, I got hurt, and that's part of it, and a big part of it's my fault. I was stuck between two thoughts of the way I wanted to set up that first match, and I obviously chose wrong. And when we were outside the straps, I felt great. I felt like I had hand control. I drove sideways. He didn't want to hold on. I tried to hold on, which I know he had, his finger was hurt and whatnot. And he's got a very good strap set up, so I'm sure he wanted him anyway. But when we set up in the straps, I mean, we were both kind of set up high, and then he kind of dumps a little bit. And I felt the straps cinch down on my wrist. I mean, on my hand and below my wrist, and it started to buckle my wrist already. I mean, as soon as the way he set up started, the straps were buckling my wrist already. I mean, it was so as soon as they said go, I felt like I was fighting the straps, not him. And as soon as I felt my wrist starting to go, I let it go, and I dove in for a press because there was going to be no rotating out of that. My hand was going to flop. So I went ahead and gave him my wrist and dove into press. I was in a comfortable position, to be honest with you. I actually like that position. I've won a lot of matches from that position. When he drove sideways the first time, me and him have spoke since, and his first drive sideways was just to get position, climb higher, make sure he still had the side pressure to finish me. And then, but when he hit that first sideways move, I heard 3 pops as soon as he hit sideways, and I was still in a good spot. He didn't pin me. He hit again, didn't pin me. And then when he drove really hard sideways, I felt a shooting pain go from my pinky, my thumb, all the way down through my forearm. Apparently, I thought I tore some tendons, but apparently what happened was we went and did an ultrasound. They didn't do an MRI. They could see the tears. My tendons were where they were supposed to be. What happened was I tore my pronator, where it's pulled away from the bone a little bit. I tore it on the backside, and I tore my ulnar carpi muscle in my forearm on the lower side. And I guess I asked him why it didn't bruise up real bad. I said, why was there no bruising really? And he said, oh, there's a lot of bruising. He said, it's just on the inside. You tore it on the bottom side of the muscle belly, and the muscle belly's filled up with blood, and there's bruising on the back. So a lot of fluid between the muscle and your bone. So it's not a complete tear. He said, I don't need surgery as of now. If it doesn't get better in a few months, then, of course we'll readdress the issue. But he said he thinks it can heal on its own. Like I said, Tony won the match. I won't take anything away from him. I think he's going to run through everybody else. I would like another match with him eventually one day, but that's if my arm, straightens up, I guess. There's a lot of things I would do differently, of course.
So let me ask you this: the WAL strap, that's a thin strap,
Yeah, it was very skinny. I was
very
surprised.
skinny. And was it a fair strap?
Was it 1 inch or was it 3/4?
Oh man, that thing was definitely not an inch.
Okay,
It
so
had
they
to been
used the old
3/4.
strap. They had switched to a 1 inch strap, but it looked like that was the 3/4. I have a question for you, Doug. When you felt the strap kind of buckle your hand in the first match, were you still fully committed to top rolling, or were you thinking about diving in? Like,
Oh man, I'm gonna be honest with you. When he cinched down and dumped his wrist, I felt my wrist start to go, and I already knew from that point I was trying to stay high and keep a lot of pressure on my thumb side, and I was going to try and just stay out as far as possible. There was no way I was going to turn inside from there. He would have just came over the top of my hand. So as soon as I felt it start to go, I kept as much pressure high as possible, but I pretty much knew I was committed to the press as soon as I felt once you feel, if you've ever felt that feeling where you know your wrist is like when somebody sets up with you and they get a really good strap set up. I mean, it was smart of him the way he set up. I mean, he had the buckle too. But if you've ever had that feeling where you feel like your wrist is going backwards before they even say go, then
yeah,
that's what it felt like, and so it was a poor setup by me, and I knew I was going to have to press. I honestly thought I could press through him, but then I lost finger pressure, and he started sliding up farther and farther and farther. I couldn't even hold on to the back of his hand, so he just climbed too high. I couldn't.
did it feel like he was set pretty deep in the setup, like past your hand when he initially started?
No, it was pretty even palm to palm. I set up high and he dumped a little bit, and he had that because he set up high with me, but then as they're tightening the straps down, he kind of slid his wrist down, or slid his hand down just a little bit, and it tightened the straps down on my side, and I knew he was in a good spot. I could tell he felt comfortable.
Yeah. Hey, is that press something you train often? I mean, I know you do pressing exercises, but is that a table exercise you work on?
No, not at all. I mean, it's just I've got really strong triceps. I always have. I mean, I used to be a heavy bencher, and I feel comfortable with my wrist backwards. It's not. I've been able to pull like that before. Well, pull, press, I guess, push. It was just if you stay tight, he was able to pull me away from my bicep. So I think that's actually where it started popping, is because he was able to drag backwards and go sideways. If he didn't have a strong enough lat to pull me away, I would have eventually worn him out and pressed through him. He would have sat there high on his hammer, and I would have just burned his hammer out like that. I was actually thought I was going to burn him out from that position, just how comfortable I felt. But as soon as I heard them 3 pops, it was just like I knew it was done. I mean, I didn't want to quit though. WAL, they pay you pretty good money to be there, and I didn't really want to quit. I don't like quitting, and I was able to second match. I was still able to stand him up in the center. I just could not go sideways. My brain was like, all right, now it's time to go sideways. My setup was much better. I stopped the match. My brain's telling me to go sideways, but I can't. Like my arm just wouldn't. Every time I went to do it, it was like you're having a dream, and you're in a fight, and you're punching them, and you're punching them as hard as you can, and it's not hurting them. It's just wouldn't function right.
Yeah, there was one thing I thought was kind of funny. Not really you being injured, but the scenario. So elbows torn up, you've got no side pressure, and Rob's telling you just pull back, just pull back. And I'm sitting there, I was like, man, it's real easy for Rob to tell someone like that, because of his strengths and his bicep. You know what I mean?
That dude's a freak, man. That's a whole nother story. He can do things that I can't do, but he was basically trying to tell me to try and get on my bicep and
Yeah.
beat him that way. And that's when I started telling him that, even if I get there, I can't go sideways. As soon as I try to go sideways, it starts to hurt. There was zero way I was going to win one of those matches, no matter where I stopped it at. So,
well, yeah, and the truth is, I mean, at that level, you're not beating anybody with zero side pressure. Again, Rob may be able to get away with a big hand and a big bicep, if he chooses to pull that way. But no offense to you, but I'm in that same boat. If I lose my side pressure, I have everything else at 100% is not going to beat my competitors. You know what I mean?
yeah, it sucks because after a loss, you start thinking, man, why'd I try to do this? I know where a lot of my strengths are and what I could have done different, but nothing would have changed because of my setup in that first match. Nothing would have changed. If I don't set up different, if the only thing I would have done different, I would have tried to do what he did and match it. Because I wasn't going to turn him in from that position. He had way too much wrist to turn him in from that spot, the setup he had, and setting up high with that setup that he was doing is a mistake as well. So, the only way to really do that is be better than him at that move. And I am good at that move. That's why I'm mad at myself for not doing it. But, nothing from Tony. He was smarter than me the first match. So
yeah. I think when it comes to strap pulling, and I've been in the situation where you just don't get anything in the strap and it feels like your wrist is going to go with the smallest amount of pressure. In situations like that where I just feel I need to stop the match, I get a restart and the strap, what I do is I get the strap as low as possible, but I grip him as low as possible. And if you grip a guy very low in the strap, I don't care what he has or buckle or whatever, you will stop the match if you're a defensive hooker.
Well, that's what I did. The second match, I gripped a little bit lower, and I didn't cap, and I was able to maintain my wrist and just stop the match. But at that point, he could have done what he wanted from there. I mean, I was able to stop it. He couldn't go sideways. When he hit hard, that was it.
Yeah.
And then that third match, it was just like, oh man, desperation, would figure something out. Tried to roll out. Hell, I should have lost the match anyway. The second match when I slipped, I mean, I went under intentionally. I was trying to get to the straps. That second match was an ugly slip. It was fast, but it was ugly. I wish he would have held on that first match outside the straps.
Do you give Sam Harris any chance at all against Tony?
He's got to pull Jeff first.
He's gonna beat Jeff. I'm not worried. Jeff can't beat Sam.
No.
His style just doesn't work right.
No. I know, but still, like,
Tony's gonna beat Sam.
Yeah.
I would like. I think I would like to see it be a better match than what I think it's going to be. I just think I don't know. I don't know. I don't think Sam has the arm.
No.
And they're going to go to the straps every time.
To mess with Tony?
Well, the hand is going to be even. I think they got very similar hands. I mean, I gripped up with Sam. Sam warmed me up before the tournament, or before my match, actually. I mean, his arm length wasn't as much as as long as I thought it was, and his hand size was very comparable to Tony's. I've seen the way in the last 3 years, the ways that Tony have lost. It wasn't to somebody trying to match his hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that. I mean, I like Sam. I think I would like Sam to win the match, just based on. I think Sam is. Sam's a little bit more. What's the word I'm looking for? For the show, I think it would be better for the WAL show. I think it would be better for Sam to win the match.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's got a little bit more charisma, a little bit more. Yeah. He's a little bit better for the show.
And his charisma is genuine. Tony's charisma is kind of fake. When Tony starts talking and stuff like that, it comes off as he's acting. Sam, it's genuine. When he beat Luke, that shit was amazing. Like, he put on a genuine show. Like, that was true charisma. That's rare.
Yeah,
very rare.
It is tough. I mean, Tony doesn't have the showmanship as much as like some of the other guys do. I definitely won the intro. Like, my intro was way better than his. When I walked my walkout, That was way better. I deserved a bonus for that.
Yeah. Nice.
But he was, like I said, Tony was the better man that day. I honestly, Tony's probably going to beat everybody. I would like that. I just don't see. I mean, I heard they were bringing a couple of big names back this year. So if there's some people that could give him some problems.
Nice.
I think Giannis might be involved this year, so that would be a problem.
Yeah.
So, Doug, what's next from a recovery standpoint? What's your game plan and time frame for, competing again?
Well, I think it froze on my end. I'm going to try and re-sign in, guys. I'll be right back.
Later, Joe.
I can hear you. Yeah, I think that if I can I'm going to give myself 6 to 8 weeks if I can. I got to say it's quiet. I told my wife I was done, but she wants me to quit, but I don't want to. I mean, I'd say 6 to 8 weeks if I can get back to training pretty good. I'd like to be ready to go by July. I told them I'd like to come back. I honestly still think out of the names they had in the hat, I was still the only one that was going to be able to beat them.
So wait a second. You said 6 to 8 weeks before your next competition?
No. 6 to 8 weeks to be able to get ready to train. Yeah,
Gotcha.
Rest of healing, rehab stuff. Like I'm gonna just do light resistance band to try and keep blood flow. See if honestly my forearm does not my ulnar carpi whatever that tear does not hurt whatsoever. It's my pronator. I can't do shit with it. Like I turn doorknobs, certain stuff like that. Sharp pain. Pressing down on my palm hurts. I mean, you don't realize how many things you do works your pronator until you injure it. Like I don't feel that tear until you don't even realize it, man. I mean, the littlest things. I mean, it's just setting my arm down on the center console when I'm driving my truck. That it's still sensitive to the touch, but I think I couldn't pull right now, but I want to be back this year. I'd love to be back this year.
Isn't your left a competitive arm?
It's good.
Yeah.
I mean, I won a lot of tournaments with it, national titles and stuff like that. I went 2-2 at Zloty with it, but it's not.
There's no WAL left hand, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, WAL is kind of really all I want to do right now. I mean, besides. Unless I left the country again, unless I went to like Zloty again or something like that, like I can't. There's no way I could see myself getting amped up to go pull, Alabama State. It's right up the road. That's the problem is there's not a whole lot of tournaments close to me. Everything's like 6 hours. Like
Doug, you can just meet me in Mississippi.
6 hours is that's 5.5 hours, like 5 to 6 hours.
It was 5.5 for me.
Yeah,
So
and that's
it's in the middle.
Anything over 4 hours, I'm flying.
How far are you from Atlanta?
5,
Jesus.
6 or 7.
Where are
6 or
you?
7.
Where do you live?
Destin, Florida.
Okay.
I'm in the Panhandle. I'm right below Alabama.
Okay.
So it's like I'm not even really part of Florida. I'm on Central Time. The whole peninsula is on Eastern Time. So I'm all the way to the left, close, like 3 hours from Biloxi.
Okay.
So there's not a whole lot of tournaments. I guess the Mississippi tournaments would be close enough to drive to. I just don't ever hear about them.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody, I mean, I don't ever see. I think I saw the last one being promoted by that Sean Hancock guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really see any of the other ones. Mm-hmm. My left is strong. I'd like to. It's just not as good as my right.
Mm-hmm.
And going to a tournament to only pull one arm sucks. When I first started arm wrestling, I only pulled right, and I'd go and I'd just be sitting around for the left. So that's why I started arm wrestling left-handed, because I was like, man, this is boring. I want to stay active in doing something, and I started pulling left-handed. It's still weird. It still doesn't work right, but it's not as connected as my right, so it's not as fun.
No.
So you said your wife would want you to quit arm wrestling. So I guess the
Yes.
question would be is why would she want you to quit arm wrestling? And I guess what keeps you arm wrestling? Because, I mean, we've talked about this. You're kind of always borderline.
She doesn't like she doesn't like when I cut weight, which I don't have to, but she doesn't like being around me when I'm cutting weight, for one. Two, she doesn't like me being away. Likes me. I mean, she's here by herself with the kids when I'm gone, which is one of the reasons why I don't still train and go pool as much as I used to, because I can't leave her at home with 3 kids, and that's a lot. I don't have family here. We moved down here. I moved down here for my job, and we don't have anybody here. So, and plus, she doesn't like me getting injured. She hates that. I hurt myself. She doesn't want something to happen that's permanent or whatever. But for me, what keeps me going, keeps me coming back is the competition, man. I was good at it. Like, I like being competitive at something. If I'm not competitive at something, doing something, some type of competition, I don't know. I just feel lost. I've always been a gambler, a fighter, a competitor. So I've always lived like that, pushing myself and doing crazy shit. And if I gotta feel some of that, because if I don't do that, I'm gonna go to the fucking casino. I don't need to do that. God knows I don't need to do that anymore.
Nice.
So I got a question for you, Gobby. Have you thought about quitting?
Never.
I mean, you've been doing this a long time.
I've never ever. In 2012, I took a winter off. Didn't go on Facebook much. Didn't really try to pull away from the sport. Just for a break, about 4 or 5 months. Lost weight, got pulled back in. But I've never ever. I'll pull till I even think, as long as I can go into a tournament and win one match, as long as I can beat the bum, or 60 years old, as long as I can take wins off the lower level guys, I'll keep, because I love the atmosphere and I just love the sport. I love the atmosphere, and I like even going to a tournament. You go to a tournament and you run through everyone, and you don't even break a sweat. I don't find that there's not as much glory as winning one match, but that one match is a 1 minute burner where you don't know if you're going to give up or he's going to give up first. It's that match there, that level of grinding that keeps me in the sport. And let's face it, you can be 70 years old and still get to a grinding match. So as long as my arms, my one arm, at least one arm, can get into one grinding hard match per tournament, I'll always stay in the sport. But at the point where I'm a joke that everyone runs through, I'll quit. But that'll never happen. My left arm will always be able to give the lower level guy a good match. However, to answer your question, I wanted to bring this up on another segment, but I'm thinking of quitting thinking of stop pulling right-handed and training right-handed specifically for arm wrestling, only because to try to keep my right a good arm, not a great arm, but trying to keep my right arm good, I believe I'm taking away from the ceiling and the potential that my left can get to. Because what happens is I go to a tournament and my right always gets hard matches and my left doesn't. Now I can't get back in the gym and do regular stuff because my right-hand side of my body's sore. So there's a 10-day hiatus. But really, because you're not going to start doing dumbbell presses only with the left. So it's my right, trying to make my right just a decent arm is impeding the potential.
You feel like that helps you a lot? You feel like doing those exercises help you?
Well, just general horsepower stuff. Yeah, I'm just saying that when you come back from a tournament and you're sore, and mostly because of your right hand side, there's less chance for you to run to the gym all excited because you're sore, even if it's your left side. Could I still get on the table? Yeah. Could I still do wrist curls with the left? Sure. But what I'm saying is when your body's somewhat fatigued, even if it's due to the right side, you're less emphatic to get to the gym and have a really good full body workout. Like, I'm a gym guy. I'm not a wrist curl in the basement guy. I'm a fucking gym guy. Snatches, deadlift. I like heavy weight. And I think the right has been just been hurting my ability for my left to hit a ceiling to see its potential. And theoretically, I know I've talked to Herman about this. Theoretically, you need balance. You need to work both. I understand that. I work both for sure. But when it comes to targeting super matches and going to tournaments, the right will no longer be. It will all be left. Not saying I won't go to practice and pull right and still fuck around with the right, but theoretically, and I heard someone say a couple of days ago that you only have so much time in the day to train and do stuff, and even if you're doing volume frequency things, for me to go to the gym and have to do an hour of wrist when I have to do right and left is a little bit frustrating because my right doesn't progress like my left. And so it's kind of frustrating. And sometimes I'm like, fuck it, I won't do anything. I won't do wrist at all. But when I'm just focusing on the left, and I've done it in small sample sizes before, I'm a lot more. It's a lot more interesting and a lot more stimulating because I know the progression is real. And when I see my numbers go up with the left, I know it directly will apply to the table. The right, not the case because I don't connect as well. So it's just something I've been thinking about.
All I really heard right there, though, was that Ryan retired your right. I didn't really hear anything else.
Well,
I mean, why did he retire your right? Honestly,
no.
You can't retire your
No, he
right
has to
after
pull
that
me in
loss.
October.
But
He still wants to.
Yeah, that's fair, Doug. Doug, you control me all day. You're credible. The ding dong on the right there, he can't even touch it. I could retire for 5 years and he couldn't budge my right. So,
Hey, Joe,
but to answer
I got
your
a question
question,
for Joe. No, go ahead, Gobby. Finish that.
to answer your question, Doug, he did give me an ass kicking, but you have to admit, did you have him beating Evan? Like, come on, like.
No,
Like-
but I've never seen somebody more happy about winning the bottom 8 in my life. I mean, I've never seen more posts on Facebook, and that's the dude's off the chain with it.
Well, he's a self promoter, right? He's a self promoter, but to in his defense, to drop $1,000 into the purse, come from Australia, and I mean, if all he did was whip on me and then lose to everyone else, I look like a fucking.
See, I don't know Evan's level though. Like I don't, so I don't know how big of a win it really is. He's big. I mean, I beat a lot of big guys. Like that sucked. You know, I don't know if Evan sucks or if he's actually good.
Well, he played with Worley 3-0, right? So, and that's his left, yes, but that's who he is. You know, he's an excellent.
Is his left better than his right?
It is better, yes, but he's still, he still dusted Worley. Like his right is a little bit. He claims his right's as good, but not in the same areas. But his right's a very, very good arm. He's a level 3 arm wrestler who was going in fresh against a much lighter Bowen. And
Ryan was smarter than him.
Yes, he was.
Ryan's angle gave him trouble, and that's his spot where he stuck. And that gave him a lot of trouble. He wasn't getting through that. And that after the first time he beat him like that, where Evan started picking his elbow up and jumping it off the table, all that, I knew it was over after that. Yeah. I mean, because Ryan found an angle at that point that he was going to be able to get to every match.
Yeah. But no.
Hey Joe. So with respect to Gobby hanging up his right arm, do you think this is a pre-excuse?
Fuck off.
Why else would he say it?
When I said retire, I said retiring from heavy elite competition, not pulling fucking bozos. Yeah, I'll put $2,000 against you fucking moron with my right. You think I'm scared of you?
I'm just messing with you, dude. Fuck, chill. I know you're gonna smash
Gobby,
me.
Stop doing the money flex. You're trying to scare people off with the money. I don't want to put $2,000 up against you.
I'm just saying. Like you control me. Doug control me. The guy who's never won a fucking penny in arm wrestling isn't going to troll me.
Not a penny.
I wouldn't be able to beat anybody right now. My arm's fucked up.
What do you think of that matchup? Gobby and Joe, 6 rounds, 6 rounds each, right and left hand, alternating hands.
I mean, Gobby should win 12 matches, I would assume. I would just assume if I had to bet. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Joseph, he was. Do you still pull novice classes or no?
No, I haven't pulled novice since 2014.
Well, I mean, he may be ready. I mean,
maybe.
I don't know. Who's your biggest win? Who do you?
No one Doug.
Left hand, probably John Jennings from Missouri. He beat Matt Borden and Brad Spine last year.
Brad Strong. Yeah,
granted, they had a super match that day, but they both pulled the tournament. They both took lots.
What's your better arm?
On paper, probably left hand, but realistically, my right.
Yeah, you ain't. I don't. Well, I mean, I think it's pretty. Gobby's probably going to win left-handed pretty easily. How's your right feel after this past weekend?
Me?
Yeah.
My right feels fine. My right's never been in certain areas. It's never been stronger. And I won the tournament afterwards. It's just Bowen had way too much.
You
Everything.
pulled the freedom thing?
Yeah, and I won. Right-handed, I won. My right's a good arm. It's a level 3 arm. It just cannot do. It just is about 10% weaker everywhere than my left. At least 10%.
How was that freedom thing? Was it like?
I don't think. I think
cool.
In a couple of ways, I think it favors my style, but I don't like it. I think it's increases injury, especially for novices and amateurs, big time. And for pros, I think it prolongs matches and it makes matches just ugly looking. It's not.
Yeah, it looks chaotic. It looks like everything's
I mean,
all over the place.
I almost. What happened is the guy pulled me in a drag hook, and as he was coming to pin me, I came around to his side of the table. So to his lateral side of the table. And when I got to his side, the table wasn't nailed down. When I got to his side to try to drag him again, he kind of pushed into me, and the table came up, but really when I looked at that video, something could have went. Like there's a lot of ways something can tear and hurt on that table. I don't love that table.
Why weren't the tables bolted down either for the tournament or the bottom 8? That just seemed stupid, man.
I don't know. The tournament was never going to be about structure and what should be. It was all going to be about promotion.
Every tournament should be about having good equipment, though. I don't care.
Why did the bottom 8 have so much more traction than the after the fact than WAL? It seemed like it seemed like WAL went and happened and then was like gone. Like it just like even the Todd and Devin thing lingered around for a little bit, but it's like gone. It was gone quick. It's
so I think because Todd,
nature of the beast.
Well, and what Devin's idea was to get 8 people that are decent arm wrestlers, and that are all self promoters, or at least in my case, I'm not a self promoter, but I'm polarizing, like either like me or hate me. So you're going to watch me pull either way, either to hope I get hurt or hope I win. So and Ryan's like he's all over. He was putting 5 videos out a day, and Evan's a self promoter. Laba's always on the internet. Artem has his own thing. I mean, even the Beaver Pumper, that guy started his own fucking podcast without even ever winning a match. So I mean, it just, and they're still talking about it, and so I mean, it holds traction and it built traction, and
Hey, speaking of that Beaver Pumper guy, dude, his setup didn't look that bad for a guy who never won this before.
He came close to beating Lava. He came close to beating
setup, Lava. It was crazy. Like his setup did not look that bad. He's done a lot of research or something.
Oh, he's been doing a lot of training. He has a coach. He hired a coach.
He had a halfway top roll. It looked like.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah,
Doug. But to your point, Ryan's just smarter from a social media and a marketing standpoint than anybody on WAL staff. That's it. Period. I even without Gobby, who has a social media presence, and Artem and Leba and these guys, this would have still gotten more traction than WAL.
I mean,
and Ryan's just better. Now, when you look at let's think about the WAL 501 guys, right? So right, cool dude. People will listen to you when you talk, but you don't really participate in social media, and that's fine. Tony tries to, but I don't think anyone really cares. Todd, non-existent. Devin has the biggest social media presence, but he's not in the trenches, right? You're not going to see Devin interacting as much as Gobby would, or I would, or the Beaver Pumper, or any of these guys. Who else was on that card? The women are non-existent.
Rob
can't be on Facebook for whatever reason.
Storm.
Jordan's non-existent for the most part. So
Storm not either.
It's a different game. I mean, and so like you need characters on the table, and that's fine. You know, Sam beating Luke and all that, the other stuff, it was cool. It made the show, like you mentioned earlier. But then Sam's not going to follow it up on Facebook, right? And that's really
But think about this though, like most of the top, like say just say most of the top 5 guys in every weight class, none of them are really like that though. None of them are.
I'm just explaining why.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, I agree. Yeah. But that's going to be the hard part about having the best arm wrestlers, the most talented arm wrestlers, and
they're not normally social media stars.
Yeah, they're not. They try to stay away from, most of them try to ignore the trash talking and stay away from the, like, you don't see a lot of people, have been giving Devin a lot of shit about the way he won his match, but you don't see him on Facebook a lot trying to defend it and get on there and argue about it. And
hey, I'll say this. No, he got hella triggered on this shit, dude. Like, he actually responded to some of the comments. This, like, in the last 2 weeks. Like, he was pissed. He called some people some pussies. Said they'd never been in a fight before. No, seriously.
Oh, I seen that.
Devin was pissed, man.
Yeah.
Well,
Super triggered.
Dude,
man,
Devin found a way, man. I mean, it was just. I think the most impressive person on the whole thing was Rob, man. Like, if you watch the match, every single match started carved in, going sideways. Slow it down before Bart even lets go of their hand. Every single match is turned in. Rob's palm is facing Rob's face.
Whoa! Are you saying he out-cheated the Cheat King?
He just outpowered him.
Wow.
He just outpowered him. I mean, he was put on his bicep before the match started and was the stronger person. Like, that was it. It surprised me that. No, don't get me wrong. I don't think I could touch Craig, but Craig goes, to his corner saying, they're trying to foul me out. I'm like, every single match. I mean, he's turned in behind. Like, you just pause it right before they go, right before he lets go of their hands. It's every single match he carves in, but that's his. They're not going to keep stopping every single match. But Rob, I think Rob's the best true 200-pounder in the country by a mile. By a mile. I mean, there's people that can cut the 200 that can. I mean, him and Todd would be electric
Herman?
right now, I think.
So let me ask you this:
True 200. True 200.
Does this
Herman
concept,
has to cut 25 pounds to make 200.
But listen, let me ask you this, and I don't care where I am in the 200 or true 200 ranking. My question is, what is this true 200? I mean,
well, I'm saying like people that walk around at that weight.
No, I know, but
I'm not a true 170.
I know, Doug, but in most sports, you've got the weight class. If it's 200, you make weight, you're a 200-pound guy. You're a true 200-pound guy. Like, it doesn't matter.
You know what I mean? Now, I don't. If you cut to the class and win it, you're that weight class champion. Like, I don't take anything away from anybody who cuts weight and goes and wins a class. I've done it. I've done it a bunch of times. He walks around at 205. He walks around at the weight class that he's pulling in. It's like Frankie Edgar for the longest time. He got a lot of respect because he fought his walk around weight. And that's a different. Don't get me wrong. I take nothing away from anybody who cuts weight and wins a class. I've done it myself. And I don't want to take away from my wins or any of the accolades or whatever I've done. But I'm saying just in general, he's a true 200-pound guy, and at that weight, if you did same day weigh in and then go to the table, there's no way anybody at 200 pounds beating him. Mm-hmm. So now I see Todd's the. I mean, I think Rob's the only one. Well, he beat him 3 times in 1 year. At that 200-pound weight. I think I don't even know when's the last time Todd cut to 200.
It's been 3 years.
Allowed,
that would take a toll on him.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll ever go back down to that weight.
It'll be tough.
He looks huge, dude.
Yeah, he's a step move up. I don't think it probably doesn't even make sense at this point, and they probably don't want him to cut. But yeah, so maybe it just is what it is. But I know he wasn't allowed to pull for his title. 2 years ago now.
I'm hoping we see some like catchweight matches. Like, I'd like to see them pull it, like him and Todd pull maybe 215 or something, and then I'd like to see like Crosby in the mix of that too, like him and Rob and Crosby. I think would be a great match.
Here's the thing with Rob. Like, the talent, the raw physicality, it's all incredible. But will he stay at 200, just dominate that and live off the accolades for his ego? Or at one point, because he's got a massive hand and a super heavyweight hand and arm, at one point, wouldn't you just be like, I'm going to get up to 230 and see if I can't claim the #1 title on earth, like John did for so long? Like, does he have that in him? Like, does he have the balls to do that, or is he just going to sit and dominate the 200?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Chris. I think he would have to go and be the number one 200 in the world before he'd become the best 230.
Right.
Yeah, I'd like to see him go. We've talked about it. I mean, me and him have talked about, him wanting to go over to like Zloty and stuff and whatever. But the dude he's crazy right now the way he's trained and how strong he is. I mean, he's very strong right now. I know just off of talking to him, he's not a liar. So I believe the things he tells me, and it takes him eating like borderline gluttony to get himself up to like 215, 220 to walk to gain that type of weight. And that's crazy to say because, I mean, seeing him in person, you would think he looks 220, but
he looks like 230, dude.
Yeah, he's just got no legs, man. None.
I know, that's the thing. It's like I always wonder, I'm like, how does Rob Vigent make that weight without cutting? So the next question is what happens if he were to think about a lower weight class?
Nah, he wouldn't. That would be pointless.
Or like say, what's Worlds 190, 198, and then it's 187? Yeah, that's too little.
Does he beat Rustam at 190? Or does it?
I don't
believe he does. No, he doesn't. He does not know.
I don't know. I don't know where any of these guys are. I mean, I just know that Rob trains with Tim Bresnan, right? Okay, they train together. He can judge where he's. I can't say because I'm not there. He could make an assessment based on how he feels with Tim and the angles he pulled Rustam in. Would he be able to compete in those areas? I don't know. He's a different arm wrestler than Todd is. So I'm not saying it would go the exact same way Rustam and Todd went. Styles make matches, man. I mean, I've had I've seen people have long matches with guys that I've crushed, and I can't beat the person they had a long match with. Mm-hmm. So I have no idea. It's just crazy the matchups, the styles, and the matchups. I didn't think that Jordan and Storm would go that way as one sided as it was. I mean,
that was shocking.
Clearly one sided. How many people guessed that? I had Storm winning.
Hey, due to time, let's do a quick segue into the other main topic of the show. I don't know if anybody else listening was able to listen to the Jobbers Inc. in-game interview on Ryan Bowen's Pound for Pound channel. There's some things that he mentioned that I thought were pretty interesting. John essentially said that steroids don't really have a huge impact, maybe 1 or 2%. One of the examples he gave was that a good 200-pound guy using steroids and gaining weight going into a new class is probably not going to improve that much because he's in a different class. I thought some of these things were overly simple, and I think he downplayed the impact of steroid use in arm wrestling and probably sports in general. So I kind of wanted to have an open discussion to see if there was any agreement with that. I personally think there's a huge impact, but we'll let the guys give their opinions on it. And this isn't a discussion on who's on drugs, who's not on drugs, and all that stuff. This is clearly just a discussion on the impact of steroids. You want to give your take on it first, Chris?
Sure. I liked his comment, and I think there's a little bit more truth in his comment than most people think. However, it's a little bit extreme and one-sided, and I think John, when it comes to that, is a little bit ignorant. Just doesn't have the information. But only a small percentage of arm wrestling revolves around major muscle groups, dynamic strength. So if you have let's say an elite number 3 or 4 and he's natural, let's say number 3, and he goes on a really good cycle, he can eclipse a tier. He can do some amazing things. But let's say 60% of the arm wrestling population is on drugs. Half of that, or even more, is probably like the level 2s. 2s trying to be 3s or 4s. Now, if a guy cannot connect, if he does not have the hand, if he does not know his way around a table, I don't believe it can make a difference at all, unless he's pulling another 2. But he'll still get destroyed by a 3 or a 4. So if you have everything, if you've been pulling for 5-10 years and everything's on point, and you go on a cycle, absolutely it can help you. It helps way more than 1%. Absolutely, we're talking anywhere upwards of 5 to 15 to 20% maybe of overall performance output. But when you're talking about a number 2 who still has huge deficiencies in his game, whether it's connection or hand or whatever, and he goes on a cycle, all he's going to do is increase chances of hurting himself or be confused on why he's not winning high-level tournaments, and he's getting smoked, and he'll just go on more and more and then eventually get hurt or just quit. So there's truth, but it depends on what tier, what level of arm wrestling you're talking about. If you don't know how to connect, or you don't have the parts, and you go on a cycle, your output performance on the table at a competition might only be 1, 2, 3%. It's conceivable because you'll never get the strength you've gained. You'll never be able to pull from because your opponent will not allow you to do so. So it depends on what level you're at. There's some truth in what John said, but it's a blanket statement that's not completely accurate.
Well, did you say? I didn't listen to it, so I'll ask you. Did Herman? Did you say that he said it doesn't help? It doesn't help like a 200-pound arm wrestler that goes up to the next class.
No, he said in general it's not that big a deal. He never used it as an excuse. People didn't really talk about it over the years until recently. It's been a big issue, although we know they used back then. And so one of his examples for it not being effective is that the 200-pound guy might go up to a different weight class with a different structure requirement, and then he'd be less competitive. So I thought that example didn't even make any sense because that's not even what we're talking about. That wouldn't be my concern going into a class, being the guy that bumped up 2 frame sizes, or tried to compete against people that were larger frames. It's really the guy who is in the right weight class, used supplementation, and has more power output, more endurance, better recovery, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of factors to it. Okay, if you are a great arm wrestler, technique wise, you know how to use your hand, you're connected, you're a good arm wrestler. You don't take anything, and then you start taking stuff, you're going to get better. You're going to get stronger, plain and simple. And nothing says that you have to gain weight to do it. You don't have to train like a bodybuilder. You don't have to. You're going to put on a little bit of weight, but it's nothing you wouldn't be able to cut to get back into that class. I think frame matters more so than muscle. Let's say like a guy like Matt Mask. He's got a crazy big frame. His broad shoulders, but he's lean. He's fairly a lean type guy. I don't know what he does, but let's say he jumped on some gear or something and put on 50 pounds over the next few years, and he's the size of Trubin, or you know what I mean, something like that. He'll be better if he's pulling heavyweight. I mean, he's pulling heavyweight right now. Mm-hmm. He's a good arm wrestler. Yeah. Craig Tullier's frame size isn't going to change no matter what he does or anybody does. I'm not saying he does. I'm just saying in general, he's a small guy. He came from 143s, is pulling heavier. His frame size isn't going to change. Mine's not going to change. If I pull 170 or I pull 230, my frame isn't going to change. My arm length isn't going to change. I think frame size matters more so than the amount of muscle you put on. But if you know how to arm wrestle, you're going to get better.
Yeah.
No matter what.
I also think there's a misconception with a lot of people who take drugs in our sport are not professional athletes. They don't do complete research, and they're not honed with discipline. What happens is they want to put on weight so they can go to an event and people say, holy fuck, you put on 40 pounds. There's a little bit of a tie-in with wanting to gain weight, but really, depending on what you take, most people think it's test and Anadrol and D-ball and things that just bulk you up and add water retention for sure. But these are not the drugs that necessarily help you in arm wrestling. The best drugs in arm wrestling that can keep you pound for pound are ones that increase collagen synthesis, like DECA and Equipoise, I think, is one of the best products, and that does not add to gain weight. What happens is a lot of people, they start taking stuff and they figure they got to eat more, so they start eating more junk. But really, it's very conceivable that you can get on something, tighten up your diet, increase protein synthesis and lose fat and become even a better, leaner, pound for pound, stronger athlete.
Yeah,
But
you
that
can
takes,
get smaller.
yeah, you can. But that takes discipline. The average arm wrestler isn't disciplined. They just really want to get to a tournament, have more horsepower on the table. And even if it means going up to another weight class and not necessarily doing better, they just feel that
they wouldn't be called performance-enhancing drugs if they were not performance-enhancing drugs.
No.
That's just not. It wouldn't be called PEDs if they weren't PEDs. Like there's too many people, too much research. There's too many sports that ban it for it not to have a reason to be banned. Like there's not. I mean, it's be ignorant. It'd be ignorant to say that it doesn't.
So why do you think some people say that it doesn't make a big difference then?
Like John? The reason John did this, because in John's heyday, he was so far ahead of the field that he didn't really think or care about. Really, if you're natural and drugs becomes a factor in your mind, is when you start losing. Why am I losing? Is it why I beat this guy 6 months ago? Now he just tore through me. It's when you start losing, you start making these calculations and pseudo excuses. With John, he never needed this. He was dominant, so he never really gave it much thought. And I believe it was less dominant back then. People just didn't talk about it as much, and it was less accessible to get for the average American or North American. And I just don't think he really cared about it. Therefore, he didn't. And John's not an overly analytic guy. John was a great arm wrestler, arguably the best, but John is not one of the more intelligent, analytical pullers we've ever had in the sport. Therefore, I don't think when it came to drugs, he was overly analytical and looked into it that much, like Herman does, or maybe Devin or Todd, or some of the more intellectual pullers in recent history. That's why.
I'm not sure the comment about him somebody being 200 and then taking it and getting bigger or going into the next weight class is actually true either. I mean, there's plenty of guys that were obviously like Arsen Liliev. I mean, I know we said we weren't going to name names, but I mean, it's like not. I mean, that's a whole different topic, and everybody knows he was on gear. He failed test at WAF or wherever, EAF or whatever it was. So, he was tiny, and he was winning. I mean, he's beat Dennis. He's beat John. He beat all the guys. He was a true lightweight. Beat everybody. All the big names.
But you know the type of guy he's talking about. I mean,
the regular guy, but nobody cares about the regular guy.
No, we've had American guys, and I don't want to name names, that were probably fours, elite level guys, level 4, and then they gain 50 pounds, and they may still be good, but not in the super heavyweight class or something like that, or at least they're not at the same tier in the super heavyweight class. For instance, Doug, if you gained 80 pounds, I mean, I don't think your hand would be able to keep up in the supers, right?
So an arm length, frame size. That's what I was talking about with frame. Like your frame matters a lot. If you just don't have the arm length hand size, you're going to get exposed eventually by somebody who has the same power, same abilities you do, but just a bigger frame and larger hand, a longer arm that makes them better at the move that you're good at.
Right. Let's see. Another topic. I kind of want to go back to the WAL versus bottom 8 media exposure thing. So should the WAL be coaching, I guess, their champions to be more active on social media?
Hold on, Gobby, are you wearing tap shoes or something?
Nope, just walking around.
Look at fucking tap dancing.
I know. I was like, what is that? I can't see Chris, but I can hear something.
It sounds like he's riding a horse through his house.
Yeah. I know. I was like Monty Python.
It's a short. He's
riding his dog.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, Herman. Honestly, I'm not a social media guy. I don't know how to even begin to promote like that. I don't have it in me.
I got about 10 minutes.
Okay.
Chris, you probably got to go to work soon, I imagine.
Yeah, I'm on my way out now. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think something different has got to be done because we just don't have the media presence or the audience to simply do a weekly show or a monthly show, like a football game or a basketball game, and then ESPN takes over, ABC takes over, and the internet machine takes over. It's almost like we have to do it ourselves. And as much as I cringed a lot of times at the bottom 8 stuff, or at least how much it was pushed early on and just how it kind of got burnt out, man, it worked. I thought that was pretty interesting.
It worked, but I did not. I watched some of it, but I turned it off. I didn't enjoy watching it.
Yeah, but Doug, you wouldn't enjoy it. I mean, like, again, it's not for Doug, it's for the audience, so to speak, right?
Right.
And more so, even the probably non-arm wrestling audience is probably what they were trying to, attract, so to speak.
I'd like it to be a little bit more serious than somebody wearing a beaver mask, acting like a fucking goofball on the table and treating it like it was a joke, And
Yeah. I'm not saying you need to go pull Sam Harris. What's that, Joe?
Said I have always wanted arm wrestling to stay like high school state wrestling, where it's the entire family, one huge place, and everyone's serious as fuck. That's what I want.
I don't know. What do you mean one family?
Well, no, I mean like all your family's there. Like obviously you've been to a big state arm or like wrestling tournament, like regular Greco-Roman. Like just that atmosphere where it's one huge like arena with everyone, but it's serious. Like it's not. I'm not a huge fan of the bar scene, believe it or not. It's just.
It's funny. It's something when you said that, it triggered a thought. It's just funny to me, like how you ever heard people talk about arm wrestling? Oh, it's one big family. Everybody's always looking out for each other and training, and it's just nothing but love. Everybody's just arm wrestling. If you're in the Brotherhood, I hate that. Like there's so many people that hate you in this, like hate on you and talk shit about you in this sport. Not you in general. I'm just saying. You know how many messages I got from people telling me they hope I kill Tony, and then sitting there talking to him when we're at the event, like they never said anything like that. Like people are so fake. This is just like real life. Arm wrestling is not a brotherhood where everybody loves you and works with you, and everybody's still just like real life. People are just as fake in this as they are in your real life. And I don't know why I felt the need to say that, but that topic, I just hear so many fucking people talk about how, arm wrestling, everybody loves each other, and this is all that. Man, there's more fucking hatred that goes on in arm wrestling. People talking shit about each other behind their backs, and there's more people that want you to lose than and telling you that, oh man, I hope you win. In reality, they want you to fucking lose.
There's definitely the fair share of that, for sure.
Fair share. It's the majority. You've got 3 friends in arm wrestling. You figure out who they are. I mean, I can promise you there's the majority of the people want to see you lose, or would rather, if it meant you losing to somebody they lost to make you look better, they would rather that. They ain't going to tell you, though.
No, you're right about that.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I started in Louisiana back in 2010, there were probably 3 training groups in the same town.
Right? Yeah, man, people don't want to see you win.
Yeah, because no one could agree on anything. This group hated this group, and that group hated that group. It's pretty interesting. Not CJ Twine. Paul Lynn made a comment. Don't you think it's more positive than negative?
No.
Really?
It's more fake than real. That's the answer. It's more fake than real. Like, it's just like real life, man. There's you may be a good person. I believe Paul's a good person. Every time I've talked to him, a lot of people have a lot of positive things to say about the guy. He's always been very polite to me. He seems like he's like that way to everybody. But these people are still real people. Like, you think about your daily life, the type of people you come across. Being an arm wrestler does not change it. It is a small group of people where everybody knows everybody, but it's still the same people talking shit about this. talking shit about people behind their back and stuff like that. It's. I mean, think about how many people have sat here and talked to you about somebody who they want to see you beat, but I guarantee you, they're telling that person that they want to see you beat. They're telling them the same thing about you. You know, it's.
Oh yeah. I'm sure that happens, especially in Louisiana.
Yeah, I mean, it probably does happen there a lot because it happens everywhere. I'm telling you, it's so annoying when everybody's like, "Oh, I love the Brotherhood of arm wrestling. It's so everybody just loves everybody, man." And you know, fuck them bullshit.
Do you
So
think it's
Doug,
different from state
I
to
think
state,
you're.
area to area, though?
No,
Say that again, Joe.
I said, well, it was directed at Doug, but do you think it's different from state to state or area to area specifically?
I think that's like saying, are the drivers worse in Georgia than they are in Pennsylvania?
Well,
No.
come on.
It's not. It's the same. High school in my hometown was the same as high school in your hometown, I'm sure. You
So
know, it's
Doug,
just,
I think I was a little more positive than you are on the sport prior to this episode, but I think you got me coming around. So you made a comment about Paul Lynn.
Damn it.
The question is Paul Lynn just the fakest person in arm wrestling?
hey, you know,
I might be on to something. Paul Lynn might be a terrible dude.
Nah, he seems pretty genuine. I mean, you can kind of, I mean, you just gotta, some people, I've been fooled before though. Paul, you could be fooling me. No, I'm just playing.
We're
Paul's a good
all
guy. Me and Paul
people.
have talked quite a bit, man, but like really your true friends, think about how many true friends you've made in the 30 years you've been alive. Okay. You all of a sudden make 50 more true friends in arm wrestling than you have in the 30 years of your life. I don't think so. These people are still the same.
Here's a thought.
Just because they have a similar hobby.
Think about
we have similar
think about
hobbies.
your true friend
Go ahead.
in arm wrestling. And then think about if they were to not be arm wrestling, would they still be your true friend?
Listen, that's another good angle on it. You know, it's the same thing. You know, that topic of everybody. I love the Brotherhood and bullshit. You know, it's like this ain't a fucking cult. You know, it's like it's still.
I want my money back.
I mean, I've made some friends in arm wrestling that I'm still stay friends with outside of arm wrestling, even if I never arm wrestle again.
See, that's what I'm talking about. I've made a few here and there, and those are the ones that everyone knows, most of the time.
Oh, when I stopped arm wrestling for 2 years, I went from everything I posted on Facebook went from I would get 200, 250 likes to I quit arm wrestling for 2 years. A year and a half later, I'm getting 50 to 75 because 200 of them would be arm wrestlers. It's like it's this, and then as soon as you disappear from the arm wrestling world, y'all ain't your friends. The ones you still talk to are probably your friends. You know, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a topic that not a lot of people talk about and not a lot of people address. But there's the fake bullshit that's in arm wrestling with a lot of people. You know,
I got another Paul Lynn comment. So when Paul Lynn asked me about training stuff, is he just feeding this back to Storm Chelino?
Paul,
because Storm looked pretty good, man. I'm thinking Paul sent some of that stuff straight to Storm, and they're setting me up.
No, but me and him.
Why are you pulling Storm?
Else. Are you pulling Storm?
Herman? No, I'm saying they're going to set it up, and then Storm's going to use my own shit against me.
No.
I see what you're saying.
But this is the thing, there's people that'll, it's. I had a conversation with someone recently. He might be on here listening. I don't know, but and he said, I'm trying. It was about training, about a technique, about in pulling to the straps, and the person that one of the people he trains with won't share that information with him because he's about to pull one of his friends. So it's like, but he's not your friend. He's not your buddy. Like that's your acquaintance.
Correct.
And that's one subject that has always kind of got on my nerves in this sport is everybody acts like they're your friend and then they But it's this the same shit as it is in real life, and arm wrestling ain't no different.
Well,
Put a good spin on the show for you right there.
No, I like it. I like it, Doug.
Dude, that's going to be a hot segment, Doug.
Put it this way. Fuck.
There's a couple of sizzlers in there, too.
Everybody. Except 3 people. I got 3 friends in arm wrestling.
Me, Gobby, and Joe.
When you said that, I was like, dude, Gobby?
No, it's just, I mean, I got a lot of acquaintances, man. I mean, a lot of people that I don't hate. I don't hate them, but I mean, they're not. I mean, you got to know the difference between. I mean, if you're an adult and you're an adult in life, you should know the difference between a friend and an acquaintance anyway. I just think the people that talk about how much love is in this sport is just fucking annoying, and it makes me want to throw up every time I listen to it. It's just so annoying. So that's.
You sound like one of my friends, but I won't.
I got a lot of it this through this last. Hey, that's my best friend right there.
Boom.
Say hey. Say hey.
What's up?
Say hey.
What's up, dude?
But
you got 3 best friends.
Yeah, I got 3. They're all right there. But yeah, no, it's one of them things where people. This when I went to arm wrestle Tony, I mean, there was a lot of people telling Tony they hope he kicks my ass that were telling me they hope I kick his ass. It's just the fakeness. It's hilarious, but we're starting to lose viewers. I think we.
Oh, you popping some bubbles?
I think I'm
killing rainbows.
Might have just upset some people.
Hey, Doug, I think that's all we have. Anything else you wanted to discuss while you were on?
No, I think I'm good. When are we going to see you pull again?
Yeah.
Man, you know that weird Vegas event that just popped up? Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that WAL people can't pull in.
Yeah, man. I'm thinking. I'm considering it. It's a very last notice, especially for me.
But they haven't even posted the prize money on the posters, Herman.
Supposedly the prize money is $10,000. I would go even if it's a scam. Like I would go just to have the story.
Who's hosting it?
I haven't. I think it's Marvin, dude.
Yeah, I think it's Marvin and Travis.
It's hit or miss. It's usually a really big payout or nothing. So
yeah. So
with Marvin, I mean, we got paid Herman when we went to
Herman
that UAL 4 that Marvin was involved with.
You're right. We did.
Or UAL, the UAL Texas.
Yeah, in Dallas.
Yeah, we got paid good.
So yeah, I might go and if it's not too costly, and if it pays, great. If it doesn't, then
basically that's like going to any other tournament where it doesn't pay well.
Well, no, but I mean, I got a good story to tell. I mean, we're gonna have some pretty interesting shows the week after that event. So I'm thinking about that.
If you go, let me know, Herman, because I was thinking about going.
Yeah, Zloty is definitely on the schedule. Outside of that, it's just going to be filler stuff to stay sharp for Zloty.
The first meetup of Arm Hub in October.
Oh yeah. And Joe's having an event in Minneapolis. He's going to pull Chris for 12 rounds, and I'm probably going to hang out and try not to eat too much.
Oh, you're going to eat a ton, dude.
What's this one's name, Doug?
This is Douglas.
Okay, this is Douglas. All right. What's up, Douglas?
So hey,
let's see, dude.
You gonna be shy now? He wanted to come over here. And he gets over here now. He's gonna be shy.
Is that a junior? The second? The third?
Yeah, he's a miss. He's got a different middle name, so it's
okay.
Basically, just he's the first. But
gotcha.
Yeah, no, it's he loves arm wrestling too.
Have you started training at all?
He pulls, but I'm not gonna. He ain't gonna arm wrestle. He arm wrestles with he sees me do it on video and stuff. So he wants to act like he can do it.
Kind of like Joe.
He acts like he hurt his arm. He walks he walks around. He'll arm wrestle and then he holds his arm up. He's like, my arm hurts because he knows I hurt my arm. It's hilarious, man. But anyway,
I suppose I got some messages rolling in. I think I got some new people coming, so I got to run, Herman.
Yeah, we're all running, so we'll let you go, Doug. Thanks for joining the show, and we'll see you next time.
All right, bro. We'll talk
Thanks
to you
for
later.
coming on, Doug. Later, guys.
Thanks. Bye.